I believe there's a very thin line between asking someone for help and trying to do something yourself. And I think this comes from the fact that it's not been taught to us and it's not very clear when we should ask someone a question and also how we should ask someone a question. And because we ourselves get a lot of unnecessary or low effort questions, we sometimes get annoyed by it and we don't respond in the kindest way possible. And this makes it harder for us to ask someone else for their help because we hesitate or we are afraid if our question might also be unnecessary or low effort, and we are afraid that someone else might not respond in the kindest way possible. And this being afraid of negative reactions creates a cycle of hesitation. In some situations, we just simply need to ask someone else a question. We just can't go around it. We need to ask someone. But because we are afraid of their reaction, we hesitate and maybe we don't even ask. And also, society sees asking questions as some kind of weakness or being weak. And of course, nobody wants to be seen as weak, especially in the eyes of the people that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And we also want to be independent. We don't want to rely on others. We want to be as capable enough to deal with everything ourselves. And if we have to ask someone else, then we, to a certain degree, are dependent on his or her competence or his or her knowledge. And that's absolutely the last thing that we want to feel. And that's also a reason, in my opinion, why we avoid asking questions. And I think the difference lies in effort versus avoidance. So when you ask someone a question without trying to do it yourself, without putting in the effort, it's just because of laziness. You don't want to put in the effort, you don't want to figure it out yourself, so you simply ask someone else to do it for you. But on the other hand, if you did put in the effort, if you did try to figure it out yourself, but you just miss a piece of information or you don't have the experience, then it's a genuine question. And people will always notice the difference. Think about it for yourself. You will notice it right away when someone hasn't tried or when someone really did try. And the easy road is never the answer. And putting in low effort simply isn't respected by other people. And when you put in the effort, people will notice it right away. So when you've tried hard, when you really did your research and looked into it, in my experience, people will always be open to help. And when you put in the work, the way you ask your questions also changes because you have something to show for. You've gained some knowledge about the topic, or you've gained, at least you have some context that you can provide to someone else. And this makes it a lot easier for someone else to answer your question, because let's say there's a big spectrum of information needed to answer your question. When you already have some knowledge about it, it's very easy for someone to fill in the gap that's missing. So you make it a lot easier for someone else. So let's say, for example, to spot the difference, at work someone comes up to you with a question. You will notice right away if someone just doesn't want to do it themselves and asks you to do everything to solve his problem for him, or when someone just misses a piece of information and only asks you about that piece of information. You give him that information and he goes back trying to solve it himself. When someone does it in that way, in my experience, that's when someone really did try to put in the effort, but just misses that piece of information or misses that experience. And on the other hand, when someone just asks you to do everything, you will notice it right away. And that's where I think lies the difference. So I don't think the strength lies in daring to ask a question. I think the strength lies in putting in the effort, working hard, and genuinely trying to fix it yourself. And when you do it that way, you won't feel weak when you ask someone a question, because you've proven to yourself that you've tried and that you have done the work first and that you've done everything in your power. And I think that that's where the confidence comes from, and that's also how you make sure that people are always open to help you. And that is my view on it. Let me know about your thoughts. Let me know about your opinions. And if you find this helpful, please share it with others. Would be very much appreciated. And for now, thank you very much for listening.